Hello, I'm Blaze Bayley. You're watching The Metal Voice, probably the greatest show on the internet.
What's that probably business? Another Metal Voice first. We're Skyping transatlantic with the man on the edge, the Silicone Messiah, and the newly dubbed King of Metal, Blaze Bayley.
Blaze Bayley!
How are you doing today?
Is my hair okay?
It's beautiful. So, Blaze, big news, exclusive Metal Voice news here. You're coming to Canada, United States.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
It's been quite a few years since I managed to get to Canada.
Okay.
And, I've got great memories of going there, but I haven't been able to get there since the Maiden days. But now I've managed to hook up with some guys over there and make it affordable. And I should be coming there in September and doing quite a few shows in Canada, and then going down to USA and doing a few more. So I'm really excited about it.
Great, the timing's good. You got the new album out. And how is that going to work with the band?
What we did last time was I sent them a set list to learn. So there'll be a couple of songs from the set list from last time, and there'll be a few new ones. So I like to play a couple from the new album, King of Metal, and then mix it up a little bit. I've got quite a catalogue, really. So I like to do some Maiden ones, but ones that people aren't so familiar with from my era.
You know, Blaze, the last time you were here, and I just looked it up right before this interview, it was 1998. Montreal, I think you played with Maiden on the Virtual 11 tour?
Yeah.
Outdoors?
I think we did Quebec City as well on that tour.
Yeah. So
I think that was when I noticed that my hair was starting to go after that trip. So I blamed the bloody Canucks for that.
Here's a scary thing, our hair is starting to go too.
Yeah.
We'll lose it right after this interview.
I'll tell you a great thing. If your hair is starting to go, it only works in Canada. Rub spaghetti bolognese on your head before you go out.
Have you ever had poutine?
What?
Poutine. It's like fries, gravy, and cheese curds. It's a delicacy in Canada.
A couple of chili dogs.
All right. Paul DiAnno, he must be in Montreal every year for the past 15 years.
I think he is, I think he is. And we're doing a few shows together. We did Russia together this year.
Right.
Yeah.
And it worked very well, and the fans seem to like it. So we'll be doing another few of those where we share the headline slot. And it's a lot of fun.
I got a question for one of our Metal Voice fans. It's Panos. All right.
Yeah.
He wants to ask, and actually, Alan and I want to know this as well.
Yeah.
Do you ever think, or have you ever considered, or have you ever been asked to do a DiAnno, Blaze, Iron Maiden festival or show or some sort of tour package?
Well, I can't really say a lot about that on this show because, I don't want to spoil it for the fans.
Okay,
but,
all right. Fair enough.
If Iron Maiden ever do get small enough to support me and Paul, we definitely have them on the bill.
So let's get right into the new album. We've been listening to it non-stop, Blaze.
Crazy fool.
We'll go over a few of the songs, maybe. Songs like Black Country off the King of Metal. Yeah. What is it with Birmingham and metal? I mean, Sabbath.
Well, it's Telford is just up the road from here, an iron bridge. Where they invented the modern steel making process, and in the Industrial Revolution, then the area between Birmingham and Wolverhampton was known as the Black Country. It was named the Black Country because whenever anybody visited this area, there was so much smoke and soot that the people were actually black, and that name stuck really, and it's still an industrial area,
when I first heard your album, I go, wait a second, there's a little bit of a change here. And I'll be completely honest, I wasn't really into it when I first heard it. But the more times I listen to this album, the more I can appreciate it, and the more I find the songs are really strong.
Oh, thanks for that. Have you been drinking?
Not yet. It's still early here.
I think the song Fate is a fantastic track. I love the King of Metal as well. And I mean, you're pouring out your guts in this album.
Yeah, it is personal, but the lyrics are very personal. I wanted to do something different, really. Though I have done personal lyrics in the past.
Right.
Then on this album, I wanted the music to be a bit more simple and direct. And I really love working with two guitars. But on this album, I wanted to have those guitars being more simple, but having more melodies of the dual guitars, and using the key changes in a different way to tell the story, and that's what we stuck to, and that does sound different to the last two albums, which come much more from a speed death metal area. With great music. I'm so proud of those albums, but I needed to do a change, and I needed to do something that expressed me and where I was at the moment. So that's why it's ended up that way. And live, we've just done 65 shows playing those songs all over Europe, and they blend right in with everything from my Silicon Messiah album and Man Who Would Not Die and Promise and Terror. Those songs blend right in, and they do stand up. So it's been good, but I wanted to do something that was different. It sounds different because I wanted to go back and do something that sounded a lot like my early Wolfsbane albums, more rock, and just really simple guitar than heavy metal. Well, and I hope that's worked.
Well, that brings me to my favorite track off the album, and one that's probably the most different compared to some of your other work would be One More Step. You know, with that simple piano accompaniment. And I was surprised to hear the raw emotion. I mean, you can hear. I think you might have even broken down at one point while singing that. You can hear your voice crack. What is that song about for you?
It's quite simply about getting home and how difficult it is to have a home and to try to get back to it. It's really, really difficult. It's I've been through a lot of problems. I suffer with depression, and it's very up and down, and I battle it all of the time. And sometimes it's some days are easier than others, and some months are easier than others. And I do get very emotional, and I do feel like giving up sometimes. And that song's about trying to remind myself of the things I carry on for, and not, just like the lyrics say, not looking at the whole problem and the whole thing, but just doing the simplest thing to carry on, to just keep going, because sometimes just to keep going is what's important.
You know, Blaze,
I wanted to do it in a very simple way, and I did it all in one take. We had a few goes at it, I think about five goes at it, and each time it was a bit different. And then that was the one where the pianist and myself, we settled into something, and we found that heart of the song. And after that one, we said, no, we're not going to do better than that. And we tried one, and it just didn't work. So out of all the takes we did, that's one where we didn't edit anything together. That's just one thing from start to finish.
Blaze, just so you know, don't be depressed. You have fans all over the world. A guy wrote us in today.
There's probably one of them in each city.
Listen to this. So we had Adam from Bangladesh who sent us an email today, and he actually gave us a video call.
Hi Blaze, my name is Adnan, and I'm from a small country called Bangladesh. It's east of India, and I'm a huge metalhead. I'm a pretty big fan of Iron Maiden, and I also listen to Wolfsbane. So here's the question: do you have any guilty pleasures? Do you listen to any kind of pop band or something that people might not relate to, people might don't know of? Thanks.
Other musical styles I love. There's some country music that I like. There's a lot of acoustic music I like. I listen to Gillian Walsh, and I listen to C6 Steve for my own pleasure, and some bits of classical music. There's odd bits of pop music that I like. What I'm really a fan of is songs. And I think it's a shame in metal where some people think that, or they get into the frame of mind where they say, it's not metal, so I'm not going to listen to it. Whereas in Wolfsbane, working with the guys in Wolfsbane, we've never ever thought like that. It's always been, is it a great song? You know,
right.
And in Iron Maiden, working with Steve Harris, he said, it's not important who has the idea or what it's like, is it a great song? That's what's important.
Absolutely. Right. Blaze, Matt from the Metal Voice, a fan of the Metal Voice and of course Blaze Bayley, just wants to make a statement to you. You are a god for being an Iron Maiden. That's a statement to you.
Well, you know.
I mean, that's what I got to pass it along, right?
It's lovely. That's a lovely, lovely thing to say, you know, and even though that is perhaps the way I feel, I don't like to, you know, boast. I think if people are in the presence of a god, I don't really want to hit them over the head with it. I'd rather just let my inner godliness shine.
But Blaze, does that ever get tired? You'll always be linked to the Maiden legacy. It's been quite some time since you've left the band. Does that ever get tiresome for you?
Because I loved the band so much and I was a fan, it was never a problem.
Right.
Why would it be a problem to have your name always associated with the greatest heavy metal band that ever existed?
Exactly.
That's not a problem for me. It's just where the problem is that a lot of those fans that would like me, if they knew about me, would like my style of music, have just never heard me. Some guys I meet, then they still go, oh, I didn't realise that you were still playing after Iron Maiden. Yeah. And that's the thing that I don't know how to get over.
Right.
Because I say to everybody, if you want to put Iron Maiden on the poster, it doesn't bother me, because the songs that I wrote with the band, I'm very, very proud of, and I do feel it's some of the best work I've ever done. You know.
You should be proud of that. And being one of only 3 vocalists in the modern lineup to ever to front the band is something to be a great achievement and also be proud of. And the 2 albums with you were fantastic. So.
Oh, thank you. You're very kind.
Thomas wants to ask you, are you in contact with anybody from Iron Maiden?
Yeah, I still talk to Steve very occasionally. But when I did King of Metal, then I ran out of time and money, and Steve let me use his studio to finish mixing the album.
Okay.
And Tony Newton mixed quite a few of the tracks there at Barnyard Studio, and King of Metal being the main one. And they turned out absolutely great. So it's a huge thanks to Steve Harris from Iron Maiden that I was able to finish the album at all, really.
And you're looking at the cover. I look at the cover of the King of Metal, and you've got like the halo or the crown of thorns, you know, King of Kings, you know, and sometimes you might feel as if you've been beaten down and almost crucified by some of the press. But now I think this record's about your resurrection kind of thing. Do you see any links there with the album cover?
No, I chose the name King of Metal because I knew what I meant by it, and I knew it would be controversial. Some people think it is a crown of thorns, but if you look closely, it's a barbed wire crown.
Yeah. That's it.
And that wasn't even invented in the time of Christ.
You know, I love the cover, by the way. It's a great piece of artwork.
So that's it. And if you look closer still, then you'll see under the skull, it's a machine. It's part human. It's not completely human. Of course, I've cast myself in that role. It's beaten down. It's not the self-proclaimed King of Metal, which if you look at the Man of War cover, Kings of Metal,
right.
And I love Man of War, this is not a diss on Man of War at all, they're a great band, heroes to me. If you look at that is, we are the Kings of Metal, you know, which is fine, but my cover is the King of Metal as in, not self-appointed, but appointed by somebody. Yeah. And the story follows through from that cover. If you have the album with all of the artwork, then I worked very closely and carefully with the artwork, Andreas from Sweden, and it tells the story of the robot. And the story is that the robot was once human. He starts as the person on the cover, but his dream of being a singer is gradually stripped away from him, and until there is nothing left of him. And the way that we chose to do that as a metaphor was that the robot must have a really dangerous job in a factory, doing something like munitions or something like this.
In the black country.
Yeah, in the black country. And gradually, each part of his body gets replaced every time he has an injury or some industrial accident. And that's what happens. And so that's the story. If you go inside, you see what he's gone through. He goes to look at Dimebag's grave. He rides a motorcycle, and if you look in the background of the song Black Country, that's factories from the Black Country where I am, and that's an illustration of my own motorcycle. And if you look at Fighter, then he's not standing there victorious, he's standing there as a survivor.
Right.
He just managed to get through it. He didn't go out and say, yes, I've won, I've beaten everybody. He just goes, I've made it, I'm still here.
Yeah.
And that's the story of the robot. And at the end of the story, you can see that he's got a little green thing on his chest, which is kind of his life and his heart, his energy, spirit meter. And all that's left of him in the end is the will to sing and his human voice. And the story is that nobody believes a robot can sing. But anyway, he carries on. And that's the story.
That's a nice story, actually.
Yeah. The song Judge Me, though, what's going on there? That's a pretty angry song. I mean, you want to impale some... Who's that aimed at?
Well, it's just you do get judged. You do. I mean, it happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not really a celebrity. I'm a kind of minor deity right out there in some kind of crazy heavy metal religion. But people do judge me. Someone didn't even look at the cover or read any of the lyrics of King of Metal, and they already said, I'm trying to appoint myself as Jesus Christ. So they judged me before they even listened to it.
Exactly.
I also see that you've done some guest vocals on Dragon's Claw, actually a friend of this show. So we have Giles, who actually talks to us all the time. And The Prophecy, that was the album called Prophecy.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, they got in touch with me and said, will you do this? I said, well, how much? And they gave me a load of money. I said, all right then. That was basically it.
My schedule's open.
It's a great album. It's a great album. Have you heard the whole album?
I'm open to offers where people pay me huge amounts of cash to appear on their album. Then I'll do it.
You've heard it here first.
It's
an exclusive.
Yeah.
Money talks.
I always listen to the music and I see what the band is about, and I see that it's something if I'm not going to feel comfortable doing it, then I don't do it. But mostly, I love to sing, and one of the great things is I love to work with new people, and I love to work on other people's songs, and I met some absolutely lovely people.
Your favorite Canadian band? Do you have one?
Rush. I can't remember.
Rush? How about Rush?
Isn't what's the name of them from years ago?
Anvil.
Rock band.
Rush.
No, it's before. Is it opera or something? What they called?
The Headstones.
Can't remember. I never remember the names.
Well,
yeah, loads of bands. Yeah.
Just to end things off, the King of Metal. Go out and buy the King of Metal. Buy it.
No illegal downloading.
That's right.
We want all our viewers to go out there and purchase the album.
And second of all, September, the Canadian, United States, US tour begins. Go out and see Blaze Bayley. And thanks for watching another edition of The Metal Voice.
Thanks very much, Blaze, for your time.
Good luck with the show, lads.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys in Montreal. And yeah, hopefully it'll be good. The Guinness is on you.